Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to talk about boredom in photography. When you get a little bit bored and you run out of ideas or inspirations. I get it, you get it, a lot of us do get it, and what happens generally is we put our cameras in the cupboard or in our bag and we save it for another day. Hopefully not a rainy one, but we don't bother going out. We just sit there and go, I've got no inspiration to do any photographs. But I don't like to get that feeling. You know, I've got all these cameras at my disposal, I've got film, I've got developers, and I can make stuff and create stuff whenever I want to do so. But sometimes, yeah, we all get a little bit bored and frustrated with it. But I generally try and find things to do. Sometimes I'm always looking at light, I'm always looking at different shades and thinking that might look nice in black and white, or this might look nice in black and white. Or if I go out, I'm driving, I see certain things, and then I might go back to that area and take a photograph of it. But yesterday I was in my room working away, just over there on the computer, and behind me is my little shelf. Now this shelf just sits on top of a radiator. It's not drilled in any way, so you know I have to be careful with it. A couple of times it's gone, but you learn your lesson. So I'm very gentle with it. I should actually drill it on, but I don't want to drill holes in my wall. But I'm quite lucky because I've got this in my room. I've got this massive window light behind me. It's this large window, and it just produces beautiful light. And sometimes I turn around and look at this shelf and put objects on it and think, oh, that might look nice. I might even take a photograph on it, usually digital, just to see how it's going to come out. But this is the shelf that I often do product shots when I do the thumbnails and what have you for the videos that I'm making, or even just little experimental stuff. And yesterday I turned around and looked at this shelf and I saw this box. And I opened the box and I thought, I wonder if I can do some photographs with this box. And it was just one of those bored moments, really. It was too cold to go out and do any photography. I thought, well, I might try and do something indoors. And I looked at this box and I placed it on the shelf and noticed how the light was just creating all these different tones inside this box. And it sounds really weird, doesn't it? But I guess sometimes photography can be weird. And then I started positioning it and angling it, and I was looking at it and thinking, might make nice photographs. So I grabbed my digital camera and set it to monochrome and took a couple of photographs of it on a macro lens. And I was quite intrigued as to how they came out, and it got me thinking, I wonder how it might look on film. And then I was trying to think to myself, well, what if I placed objects near the box or inside the box or whatever, or try to come out with something. And then I started imagining how this might look in a print and framed on a wall. Where would it suit in my house? Or, you know, is it something that I would like? But it was that night I was watching the World Cup, and I've really been enjoying the World Cup. And last night I was watching a couple of games in the World Cup, Portugal and Switzerland and Spain, and I can't remember the other team, Morocco. Great games, and then the football finished and I sat there, I had loads of energy. I got really bored and I just thought, I'm going to go and try and do them shots, but this time under controlled light. It was dark outside, so I grabbed one of my LED lights and I started to do some photographs. I grabbed the roll of Acros 2, I got my Mia RZ67 camera out so I can get nice and close, and I started setting up the lights, setting it all up, and started to take the pictures of the box. And then I had this wacky idea of putting a newspaper in the background, just some writing or something for no reason. It just popped up in my mind with the box as well, just to change the background a bit. I still weren't happy with it. You know, the newspaper weren't really throwing much into it. So then I thought, what about if I use the old Kodak branding that doesn't work? I thought I'd put that on there and see how that works. And then I realised the newspaper was too up to date. And then I remembered I found this old magazine that I found in a charity shop years ago, and I started to use that. I thought, well, that might go quite well with the camera. So I started to use the camera, and I thought, what else can I put in there? What else can I put? So I got my glasses, and I thought, well, I'll stick my glasses down as if someone was reading back in the day, reading that magazine and playing with that camera maybe. That's where I ended up. But I don't think there's no better light than daylight or window light, to be honest with you. In my personal view, you can have all the lights in the world, but the light coming from this window onto this shelf I think is the best light possible. Natural daylight coming through a window. So I couldn't wait till this morning so I could put another roll of Acros inside the camera and start shooting. And I'm looking outside, the sun is over that way, and there's hardly any clouds in the sky, so I'm not going to be influenced by clouds coming in and out, so I can pretty much meter up and keep to the same metering. It's just down to me to decide what I want to do. The only thing is I'm going to change my glasses around because these are a little bit modern, but I do have a pair of glasses that were my dad's he passed away in 1999, so these glasses are probably, you know, going back to the 90s. I wish I had a really old pair of glasses, but I haven't. But I'm going to use those instead, so then I guess the image and stuff is going to be a bit more personal to me as well. So these are going to be ditched, and I'm going to put my dad's glasses down. Might even put his watch down as well. How about that? So I'm pretty much there. I've just set a small scene up. My only trouble is I've got 15 shots to take. So I might have to play around a little bit, but that's okay because I can just adjust things slightly. This one roll of film for one print that I might make. And I've just done some metering. Across is 100 speed, so I've got f32, which is what I'm shooting at, and it's giving me 4 seconds exposure time. I need to allow one stop over exposure. Because the lens is extended, the light needs a little bit more time to travel to hit the back of the film, and that's why I'm using Acros, because that stuff, there's no reciprocity failures until you get to around about 2 minutes. So I haven't got to faff around with reciprocity times at all. Take the dark slide out, off we go. So I've just changed things around a little bit now. I've changed the camera angle, and I've also, I'm shooting at f8, so I'm getting a more shallow depth of field, which means I've had to obviously change the shutter speed as well to compensate. And I can use the depth of scale preview on the camera to roughly see what I'm getting. I quite like the depth of field that's going on. Just need to change the angle slightly. I'm quite enjoying the shoot actually, guys. It's a little bit nostalgic to me, I suppose. Except he didn't read photo magazines, he always read the Racing Post, horse racing. And if you're wondering what I'm doing with the cable release on this camera, you hear the mirror slap. So far I can look through the mirrors up so I can see what I'm composing on. That's now lifted the mirror up. As soon as I press that, it's going to open and fire the leaf shutter that's on the lens. Like so. And here comes the last shot. Done. Of course, I went from f32 and then decided to do some shallow depths of fields at f8. And you know, it's the same scene, 15 shots, but don't forget you can always change your apertures to get some different looks into your photographs or your prints. So I'm going to go off and develop this film now. I'm going to develop this in Rodinal. I don't mind a little bit of grain in this film. It's only a 100 speed film, so Rodinal shouldn't be too bad on the grain. I'm hoping to try and get it a little bit contrasted. I'd like to see maybe, so I might just overdevelop by a couple of minutes and try and punch some contrast out of it. See what happens. So I've come back with some nice photographs from that shoot and I'm quite happy with what I've done. There's only a couple on there that I actually like, and this is one of them here, with a camera there, my dad's glasses, my dad's watch. And although I said I didn't want too much in focus on the book, maybe because it might be distracting, I quite liked it when I had this big writing over here and this little writing here as well, and a little tiny bit of the wall in the background. It kind of separates it all, so it's not in your face. I'll show you what I mean when I make the prints. I'm just about to make a print in my darkroom, and I'm going to be putting a border around the edge of this print. You can see I've just zoomed in slightly on this paper. I'm using ILFORD's multigrade 12 by 16 deluxe paper. It's only a resin paper, so we're going to be using that. And my negative carrier is made on a 3D printer from Bit by Bit Photo, a guy called Tim. I'll put a link to his details if you're interested, but he made me these carriers that kind of just show a little bit of the rebate of the negative, so I can use my blades inside the carrier, as you can see there, and just trim them down a little tiny bit. And I've been talking a lot with a guy called Crimson Obscura on Instagram. He's been doing this as well with his prints. I'll send you a link to his Instagram as well if you're interested in look at some of his borders that he's been doing recently. He's been doing a lot of stories on them. And I reckon this is probably going to be the last time I'll be in the darkroom, guys, for a few weeks, because we've got this freezing cold weather coming in from the east. Beast from the east, they're going to call it, apparently. And my shed gets bloody freezing, and it's cold at the moment. I've got a radiator on. Right, I think I've got those, but I haven't got the borders at all. Come on. Little tiny bit at the bottom there. So it's quite large. You can see it's quite large. And I've already got a frame for it. So all I need to do is get it in focus, do some test strips. But I'm going to do some tests first, I think, down the side of this camera. So I'm going to place my test strip down the side of this camera and see what my exposure times are going to be best for this print. I might have to do a little tiny bit of dodging on the watch. I'm not sure yet, but that's not too hard. It's just a circle face. The rest of it should blend in. And as always, having a quick look, make sure I've got my focus in. This will show me what the grain's like. I noticed the grain was quite fine. It's there, but it's quite fine with that Acros and the Rodinal, so I did all right there, the result. But it wouldn't have bothered me if it was grainy anyway. Do some test strips, set my enlarger time to 3 seconds, not 2. Find out where I've got to put the paper, right down the edge there. And off we go. 3, 6, 9, 12, one more, 15. Shouldn't be longer than that. So that was a test strip. I just did one more test at 12 seconds, or just over that, and I'm going to go for a full print, if I can get this focus back in. A full print at 15 seconds, and I need to dodge a little tiny bit, sorry, burn, I mean, not dodge, a little tiny bit of that watch, or the face I should say. Not too long, just a little bit. And I might be lucky and get the print that I'm after without wasting too much paper, because that's what we all don't want, you know, is wasting your paper. It does get expensive. Unless of course you're practicing. Alright Em, I'll be in a minute. So in goes the paper, my dodge tool there, burn tool. What did we say, 15 seconds, so let that go for 15 seconds. There's a couple of little hairs on the test prints I noticed, but that's not going to bother me at all. I'm not going to sit there and try and clean the neg as much as I can. I've already cleaned it, but it doesn't matter to me. This is only a print for me. So that was 12 seconds, and then I need to dodge some of that burn some of that watch face. Why do I keep saying dodge? You can just see it there. Just going to try and burn that in a bit more. If I've made a halo around it, we'll come up just in case. Just dodge around that area to avoid any haloing. it goes to the developer. You'll see that come through in a minute. It's always the exciting part, even after all these years I've been in the darkroom, to see my print start coming through. There's always just a magical moment. And here it comes now, starting to come through. We'll leave this in here for the full length and see all the blacks come out. Just concerned about that top left corner, if that was too bright or not, but we don't know yet. I might have burned the watch too much. The print looks nice, but I think I've burned the watch in too much. I think also that top corner, I'm not liking that top corner anymore. It looked alright on the scan. It just looks empty. I think I'm right, so I'm not going to reprint this. I'm going to come away from this negative actually. Wasted piece of paper, but never mind. So that first one was a disaster, so I decided to go for the second one that I preferred, which was right at the end of the roll, the very last one I took. And I've got his watch there, I've got his glasses, got the camera, only a little tiny bit of the wall in the top there, which is great. I've got the words Westminster going across here. My dad loved London, being a Londoner, and all film stuff going on the magazine. So let's see how that prints. The watch is also not as overexposed as the last one that I did, so this should be no burning, no dodging, nothing. 2.5, I reckon 12 seconds straight off. Let's do it. So this is going to be my last print, and then I'm going to get it framed. I've got the time. I just had to take the negative out and give it a good clean because there was some dust marks on the last print that I wasn't happy with, but there is one slight, a couple of marks that are actually embedded in the emulsion, so I can't help that, but we're still going to go for it anyway. 12 seconds like we said, and I just need to burn that top part in, which I'll use my hand for once that 12 seconds is up. Just a little bit too light up in the top left corner, so we'll just freehand it, turn the light on in that top corner. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just burn it in, make it a bit darker, up to the top corner, done. That should be enough. Oh, a little bit of light on the bottom there, it's not going to matter. Oh, I've now missed the border down this bottom part. Finally, I've got the print that I wanted. Got the border in nice, got those dust marks off, a couple of little tiny specks on there, but that's as best as I can get it. And like I say, who's going to be up close up looking at it anyway? It's a picture of my dad's watch, his glasses, and my photo magazine thing that I found in a take shop, and a brand new model as well. So there's a little bit of nostalgia for me there, and also some stuff that I like, which is camera stuff. Cool. So I made a few prints. This one had the dust mark on it that I didn't like. I then tried another one, burned in the corner at the top there, like I said. The dust marks have kind of gone. This one I've got rid of as much as I could, but it's buried in the negative, in the emulsion. But I've messed up the border here. And this one, finished it off, done exactly the same thing, burned a little tiny bit more this time, so it's blended in nicely. And I've got the border how I want it, so I'm really happy with this one. And this one I'll probably give to my sister, this one I'll give to my brother, and this one I'll frame myself. They won't have a clue. Told you it's wonky.